Adventures. Here we are. It's Friday, and I'm at the Collective in sunny Altamont Springs, Florida. That's right. Coming to you from the studio right back here, John's Dungeon Corner. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Anyway, boy. Cool stuff today. Kind of like a little bit of a recap, but that's okay. That's okay. I got a keyboard in front of me in case I want to post something. I'm probably going to post something like, hey, welcome to John's Dungeon Corner. John, what's happening, man? Welcome to John's Dungeon Corner. Yeah, the official welcome. Glad to see you're on, brother. How you been? Everything's good? How's the world treating you? Adventure's going good? Because life is an adventure. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to wait for a couple other people to jump on, see if this gentleman who asked me the question jumps on. If not, I told him, hey, the wonderful thing about this is, you can actually view this later on at your leisure. It's on the Facebook. It's on a couple of the different things there. The Collective CCG, the gaming community. I started some side quests for this adventure. Oh, very cool. Very cool. That's good, man. Family doing good? Hope so. That's right. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about a couple things. And I'll tell you, the question that was asked to me, it was funny because I left here Wednesday. I was actually on my way here. I had my Dungeons and Dragons shirts on because on Wednesdays I usually wear Dungeons and Dragons or something to do with Dungeons and Dragons. Like today I have my TMS shirt on that I got at the this last convention. But anyway, so somebody asked me, hey, what is that Dungeons and Dragons all about? It's like, it's funny because even with the resurgence of Dungeons and Dragons, hey, Jason, good to see you, brother. Yeah, on YouTube, right? That's it. Yeah, YouTube, Facebook, and there's another one on there that we're on that I'm not quite sure what it is. Let me see. The show is on. Oh, well, it don't matter. The show's on there, so it matters. Hey, so I was about to say that somebody had asked me about what is Dungeons and Dragons all about, which is it sounds like such a basic question. What's it all about? The thing is, there's so many answers that you can give, and I've depending on how I feel the person is, I tell them a simple answer. I give them a more in-depth answer. It just really depends on, how I'm feeling about the whole conversation. Oh, so let me sneak out of here for a second because it seems that it froze. Let me see. Unfreeze myself. Okay, I unfroze myself. Look, I disappeared. No, actually, I want to sit there and put this on there. For those of you, it's John's Dungeon Corner at John's Dungeon Corner DC 2021 at gmail.com. John's DC, which stands for Dungeon Corner, at 2021 at gmail.com. John's DC 2021 at gmail.com. Been doing this now for about a year, this show. So I started, I got a website, not a website, a email, just so that you can send me questions. Okay. And I got a couple questions that and sometimes listen, because somebody said, hey, what about my question? What I try to do is sometimes I like to get a group of questions that are related, and I try to do an entire show over them. So it's all there. It's kind of like I'm not waiting 2 weeks. It's all there in one show for you to be able to see it. And we got like a common theme. So, all right, I'm going to give these people another couple of minutes. I've been on for 4 minutes, and I don't see a lot of people on yet, but that's okay. It's Friday. Sometimes people are here. I'm glad that John and Jason, J&J, look at that, the J&J connection. We had a good time this Wednesday. I got to tell you, one room took an entire session. It was full of undead, and it was pretty wild. I mean, Danny, what's happening? Welcome to the show. And they were able to vanquish the undead. Once they got going, that's the thing about undead. They take a while sometimes to beat down, but boy, once they start falling, they're like dominoes, or in this case, skeletons and zombies. Just kind of blah, 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 blah. It's like a domino effect, They just start going, gone. But it was a lot of fun, which, even before I talk about what I was going to say, I'm always reading stuff online and stuff, and I was reading about an article, something about Gary Gygax, and so I'm like, I was reading, and so it kind of led me to, how you go down the rabbit hole, and you end up here, 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 here. But anyway, I found this place. It had some of his quotes on it, and the coolest quote I read. I mean, he has a lot of really cool quotes, but I want to guess there was one. Say two. Okay, the first one is enjoy. This is him talking about Dungeons and Dragons and role playing in general. Enjoy a world where the fantastic is fact and magic really works. And I think that's just awesome. The other quote kind of goes hand in hand with what I like to say, which is, well, I'll tell you after I read his quote. He says, quote, games give you a chance to excel. And if you're playing in good company, you don't even mind if you lose because you had the enjoyment of the company during the course of the game. And that's something that I always like to say, that, a lot of people are caught up in what they're doing and where they're doing it. And I think more important is what you really should think about is it's not what you're doing, but who you're doing it with that matters. And you've heard me say this a lot. And I think in Dungeons and Dragons, more so than in other games, because a lot of games are competitive. If you play Monopoly, if you play miniature war games, board games, not that all of them are not, that they don't have room for cooperative games, because there are, but most of them pit you against somebody else. Okay, whether it's your best friend, somebody you don't know, your wife, your girlfriend, and stuff. Dungeons and Dragons, on the other hand, although yes, you could pit the players against each other, it's a cooperative role-playing game. And you sit around a table, or on couches, or a sofa, whatever, and you play together, and you have a common goal. Now, within those common goals, sure, you have your individualistic goals. My character wants to be a great fighter. My wizard wants to find hey, brother. Oh, I know you're on the road, so you can only hear me, but thanks for joining. Willie's coming to you from all the way from New York. It's hot up there too. But so it's who you're playing the game with that makes the game the game. It's not so much what you're doing. I mean, you can going to a theater just to watch a movie, and you take the right group with you, and you have a blast. And you still enjoy the movie, but there's that camaraderie that's missing. I think that's what Dungeons and Dragons is about. It's about the camaraderie of the people that you play with. And you'll hear me say that so much. Oh, in court, boo, boo. Well, good luck, brother. I hope you beat them. They don't show up, because that ain't right. But okay, so the guy asked me, the gentleman asked me, what is Dungeons and Dragons all about? And I was kind of thinking about it. I gave him an answer, but I kind of want to come out here, and a lot of people have asked this, and I've talked about this on the show, but in thinking about it, the more and more that you play, the more and more that you run the game, you see people run the game, because sometimes I just watch people play it. I've gone online and watched other games through YouTube, replays of games, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty neat. And it gives you ideas, because you're always learning. It's like everything else. You're always learning. And I'm always looking for things, and I may twist them a little bit and change it a bit to fit my campaign. But in the end, the idea is, it's just like movies. They come from somewhere. Okay? So when I think of Dungeons and Dragons, and this is, I think, an explanation that'd be good for either starting players, people who have never played Dungeons and Dragons, never heard about Dungeons and Dragons, or for players who are thinking of becoming game masters. Okay, I think that one, it's about interaction. The interaction, and I don't mean, you could call it role playing, but I think that there's two definitive sides to the interaction. The first interaction is with the other players, thus the people that you play with. Okay, like at home, I play with my two sons. I play with my daughter-in-law. I play with my daughters. I play with my wife. I play with my best friends, with one of my martial arts students, who's also a game master. And on that table, there's 3 other game masters. So, and these are all my friends, and I've played with my brother, and I play here with my friends here at the collective. And sometimes there's people that I don't even know, but they join my game and they stay. So it means that they're having a good time, because there are 4 or 5 other games that they can go to. So, and in that you build a camaraderie. Sometimes maybe not a friendship, but you build this camaraderie where these are the people you laugh together. You kind of like hold your head and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened." So there's that interaction on a personal level with the players. Then in the game itself, during the adventure, there's an interaction between the players, the characters. Yes, it's the player playing it, but it's the characters who are interacting now. So it's a different level of interaction. Okay. Maybe my character doesn't like your character, but we're best friends. That's just the way it turns out, because maybe you like, instead after questioning prisoners, you like killing them. Yet, me, I'm not about that. I'd rather imprison them. I'd rather, worst case, set them free or imprison them somewhere, but killing them outright just doesn't sit well with me. So I don't get along that way. But that's the role-playing aspect of the game, and it's between the characters. The players, okay, are interacting, and we're laughing about it, and maybe we're joking each other about it, but we're friends. The characters may not be. And that's awesome. That's a neat part of role playing. That's really nice. So that's first, the interaction between players and between characters, and then it kind of melds itself together into the role playing session and the adventure. Okay. Now, then I couldn't come up with a better word for it, so I just called it adventuring, the adventuring aspect of the game. And that's all encompassing. I mean, oh my God, that encompasses so much. So in adventuring and exploring the unknown, your characters go out and they learn things. And whether they're exploring a dungeon, whether they're adventuring in the jungles, in the woods, in a castle floating in the sky, you're learning things, you're exploring, you're adventuring together. So there's that, all right, where you don't know where you're going to find yourself from session. Well, I won't say from session to session, but for the most part, you're here in this dungeon today, and maybe 3 or 4 sessions have gone by. Okay, you're done with that. Then you come back to town, and all of a sudden there's an emergency up in the mountains. A small village is under attack by mountain trolls or giants or something, and off goes your group, and you're not quite sure what you're about to get into, but you kind of have an idea. All right, we've never ventured to the mountains, so let's get ready for it. Now you got to gear up. Is it cold? What's the climate like up there? So there's that part of it too, which is just a simple exploration, adventuring. You learn about monsters, you discover things like magical items, treasure troves, lost cities, underground ruins. Oh my gosh, there's so much that can happen. And so that is a big part of the game itself. And then there's the worlds. And I'm going to get into the worlds here in a second. And that's what these books are all about. Many of them I have talked about, but I want to show you the diversity of what a game can be like. And it can all be in one game based off of your current campaign. It's not like you have to reinvent the wheel or reinvent something in your campaign. There's things that you can add if you kind of want to give it a different flavor without having to redo your entire campaign and start a whole new campaign. Although, yes, you could. But maybe, okay, let's stick to exploration for a little bit. Let's just go with it. Okay, so in exploring, you find a mystical gate. And you're checking it, and you're using your skills, and you cast detect magic on it, and all of a sudden you feel a faint magical aura. And you're like, whoa. Then the sorcerer gets this crazy idea and goes up there and starts channeling his magic into it by throwing magic spells into it. And it activates. And the whole room begins to glow, and you're somewhere else. Now, somehow, some way, that gate took you up to the Radiant Citadel in the astral plane. Or excuse me, in the ethereal plane. All right? And there you are at the Radiant Citadel in a magical city. And the adventure goes on. And there's a whole set of adventures in here. Okay, so that's one way. All right. But let's say that instead, a mist, a fog, you guys have built camp. You're headed back to your town, the venturing hall. You're going to go report back that, hey, we finished our mission, our adventure, we're coming back. And you set camp for the night. That night, though, a mysterious fog rolls in. And when you wake up, you're somewhere else. And now you're in Barovia, in Ravenloft. And you've made that transition to another campaign world. Okay? This is more like an outer space kind of thing, kind of sort of what's the ethereal plane. Here, you're just in another world. Okay. Suppose that, and while you're here, you get on a Spelljammer ship and you end up on the astral plane now. And this is a whole different campaign also, and I've told you about it. I'm sorry. No, this is not it. I'm sorry. Let me go over here. This is the campaign for the Spelljammers, and now you're out there in the astral plane running around, and there's all kinds of cool things, and you're on the asteroid city, and there's a real cool map in there, but you see what I'm getting at. And, of course, I just brought these out because this is an adventure. This is Descent into Avernus, which is Baldur's Gate, which is the Forgotten Realms series of adventures. And let me tell you, there are so many books on the Forgotten Realms. R.A. Salvatore is one of my favorite writers, and he does the whole Drizzt Do'Urden, Companions of the Hall, and it's just amazing. Okay, and I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to get too much into it, but there's a lot of adventures set in, of course, the Forgotten Realms that are really neat. Now, this one is set in a world called Greyhawk, which is one of the original, actually, I think it was the original world that came out for Dungeons and Dragons, I want to say. And this is the Secret of Saltmarsh. Okay, Secrets of Saltmarsh. And it takes place out there on this little fishing village. If you want to do like a nautical sea theme kind of campaign, this is really neat. This will take you to the 12th level. But it's in a different world. Now, that's not to say that, once again, through the use of a mystical gate, a spell, whatever, that the players can't end up in any of these worlds. Okay? Because they can't. Now, this is the Critical Role. This is the Call of the Netherdeep. This is the Critical Role world, and but through magical means or whatever, however, as a game master you want to do it, you could send them to any of these worlds and run a little something just to give them some otherworldly information. And they might need, one of the ideas that I've had. I haven't expounded on it yet, but imagine some kind of magical item, some kind of magical tome, perhaps, that something bad is going to happen. I don't know what it may be. Let's call it one of those neat, cataclysmic events, the end of the world. Maybe it's a demon invasion or some kind of otherworldly creature comes down and it's going to destroy the world. But you still have time. The prophecy has been slowly unraveling before you. And you're starting to understand that there's something that needs to be found, whether it's an incantation that's in a magical book, maybe it's an item that got split into parts so that no one would ever find them, and they got sent to different planes of existence or different worlds even. Think about that. If the gods wanted to, they could basically just go, boom, destroy something and send it to the far ends of the cosmos, right? Kind of almost like the Infinity Stone concept. You could do something like that if you wanted to. Just use a rod, a staff, maybe a sword, a tome that has X amount of pages in it, and they all have to be brought back in. Hello, love. My wife is online. Christina, hello, my love. Willie Blanco's in court, but he's watching, and Danny and Jason and John. And we're talking about all the different worlds because somebody had asked me about it. But you'll go back and watch it, so you'll see. But so there's an idea. You can do something like the Infinity Stones, take that and turn it into a big D&D campaign, and start the characters off, and they have this destiny that they're the ones, and so on and so forth. And I'll just give you, that's just like a little stepping stone. You can go from there. So all these things can be brought in. Your favorite animation, your favorite movie, your whatever it is, your favorite story. You could take it and recreate it. And you can spread it across the worlds. You can create your own world, and you can just put it in a region of a world. So that's what I was talking about, adventuring and exploration. There's so much that you can do. And let me say this, because this is a question that he kind of that was kind of thrown in there. Not him, but I guess one of his coworkers had played Dungeons and Dragons and kind of stopped because there's a misconception that at 20th level the game is over. So once you get to 20th level, that's it. And a lot of people say, oh, the funnest part is between 1 and 5. And I agree. I think that the development of the character between 1st and 5th is very important. That's why I have never started it. I don't think I ever have. I don't want to lie to you, but I don't think I've ever started a campaign at higher than 1st level because there's so much character development that happens between 1st and I'd say like 8th level when you start getting your second feet in 5e. When you start really, that's when the meat and drink of the character comes. You start kind of down that path, and even if you're a multi-class, you'd be like a maybe 5th and 3rd or 4-4. So you've got some experience in adventuring now that you're starting to make decisions that are going to really impact your character later on. And so I'm not even sure what to call it, but a lot of people have come to the conclusion that the game ends at 20th level. And to me, that's where the game really starts. Because there are some creatures that are something else. And when you play them right as a game master, look out below. You know, there are creatures in those manuals that are just unbelievable and could really provide. In fact, between 9th and 20th level is really when you want to start thinking about elevating your game to that level, because these are the kind of creatures that can one shot you. People say that's impossible. I said, no, it's actually quite possible. Quite possible. There's some magic spells out there, and there are some ancient creatures and situations that, wow, are amazing. You know, you may have a great armor class, but I bet you if I sent 100 kobolds after you with a couple sorcerers and about 25 archers, I think I might be able to whittle you down to where the second wave gets you. You know, so that's that grand scale I talk about where you can actually, you know, I've always wanted to put 100 kobolds out there and say, go! And just have the party go, oh my, look, it's a tidal wave of kobolds. You know, and that's actually a simple creature. That's simple creature, because one of my goals, and it's something that I'm going to talk about this too, since I'm talking about exploration and different types of games. Something that we're going to do here is we're going to have a King of the Hill, a battle royale type game once a month. I believe we're going to start in September. We ran a game. I ran it as part of my campaign, and I think we're going to do a battle royale once a month where you just come out and you just have a good old time. You build your character. You bring your character.
Tell me we still got these available.
It's right there.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's still available.
See, Brendan takes care of you.
It'll last through the weekend. Nobody came out to my midnight release.
Nobody?
Is nobody watching you, John?
Hey, what happened here?
What am I?
You guys are killing me, man. Nobody came out to the midnight release.
We can't get our friends to come out.
Right? That is bad when we can't get our own
waited
friends.
Until 4 a.m, but that's okay.
I love this guy. But, oh, man, you guys let me down. I thought it was such a cool idea that he had come up with to have a midnight release, and nobody passed it on to anybody. I tell you, come on, guys. Tell your friends about the show. Let's get this rolling. Let's get it going. Maybe one day I'll have a real cool show with all kinds of lighting and cool effects and stuff, right? This is how we start, you know. Anyway. So that's what so getting back to that. So there's a lot of things that you can do. And I know I think that really is the meat and drink. Other than the role playing and the interaction between players, I think that's the biggest part of the Dungeons and Dragons. The exploration, the adventuring, because there's so much you can do. And let me tell you, I don't believe, from my point of view, there is no such thing as an end to the game. I think that you could easily keep people entertained into 30 and 40th levels, because there's so much stuff. I mean, when you get that powerful, that's when you can really start shaping the world. You know, a lot of adventurers, and not a lot of adventurers, let's just say for those characters that really want to make the world a better place, even though it's a fantasy world, that's when you can really start making things happen. That's where you have the power and the friends and the allies, the people who owe you favors, that you have the kind of people that can help you make those changes. Maybe not all at once in the world, but little by little, if that's your thing, which is kind of cool. Now, the last thing out of all that, right? So still talking about what Dungeons and Dragons is the combat and the magic. Okay, that's like, oh yeah, now we're getting to it. The role playing is fun, John, but I just want to swing a sword and chop some stuff up. You know, I've always wanted to just slice and dice orcs and goblins. And okay, well that's what we're talking about. There comes a time, of course, in every adventure where it's time to pull your swords out, strap on that shield, have that armor sitting just right, and start getting ready to cast those spells, because here they come. Whether it's as simple as a spider, a giant spider, or a phase spider, an orc, a goblin, a kobold, or a dragon. Well, I don't know about dragons yet, but you get my drift, right? There's combat, okay? Whether it's melee combat, which is where you're toe-to-toe with somebody, just bashing it out, or you're casting spells from a distance, or shooting your bow from a distance, or whatever it is your specialty. Maybe shaking somebody from behind. Danny, I said shaking. I knew I'd get it in there. Anyway, so there's a lot to combat. And there really is a lot to combat. It's not just swinging a sword. It's not just throwing spells. You got to, especially with the spells, you kind of have to know what spell is appropriate for A, the situation, B, the creature. You know, you have to know its area of effect, whether there's shank with a spoon. Oh, that would hurt more. I love it. That's my wife. Shank with a spoon. You heard that right, Danny? Oh my gosh. But listen, this show is about having fun. Yeah, we talk about Dungeons and Dragons and it is fun, but we have a good time. First and foremost, that's what it's all about. At home, we have a good time. We laugh. We hold our head and go, good grief, I can't believe that. And then we laugh some more. And we talk. And that's what the game's about. And that's what the show's like, you know? Yeah, shank with the spoon. Daddy. But that's what we do. Every game that I run is like that. We may only get a little bit done, but boy, we had a good time getting that little bit done. And we may talk more than we play, but that's it. That's just the way. The interaction with the people, you know, is a lot of fun. I have a good time. I run a game here for the staff. I run a game for whoever comes out, a group that kind of is grown to like 10, 11 players. And they come from all over the place, which is really neat. I really appreciate you guys. They bring their kids, you know, so that they can come and play and enjoy themselves and have some time that was something that they like to do, and they introduce their kids to it. It's a lot of fun because that's the way it's passed on, you know, Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I started playing when I was 11. Actually, the year Dungeons and Dragons came out in 74. And I was fortunate that my mom thought it was the coolest thing. You know, being a military dad, my dad was kind of like, whatever. As long as it keeps him out of my hair, I guess. Well, he was good. He was a good guy, but, you know, that was the way that was. And so I played D&D, and my mom bought me my Lord of the Rings. You guys have heard this before, but, and the rest is history. And here it is. Wow. Many years later, at least like 40 some odd years. And I'm still playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I introduced my sons to it, my daughters to it, and they play now, and hopefully they'll teach their kids, and it'll just go on and on and on. And I've made a lot of friends that I wouldn't have met otherwise, you know, and that's really neat. And I think that's, to me, that's the most important part. Because I've always said, you know, time is the most valuable thing you have in life. Who you spend it with is very important. And what you do with it is very important. So don't waste it. If you're having fun, then you're doing good. That's what I think. Anyway, that's just me. One game master, one dungeon master. With a show, though, I got a show. Well, thanks to the collective and Brendan and now and Danny, who suggested it a long time ago. I have a show, which is a lot of fun. I have a good time with it. And I try to be here every Friday unless I have something going on that takes me away. And hey, sometimes I just got the schedule around it. But I really enjoy being here with you guys and talking D&D because I love D&D. It's been a part of my life for a long, long time. And I've seen it change. So, sometimes we kind of just got to get together and we don't know what to do and what to do for a day. We're kind of like, well, it doesn't even have to be. Just open up a book. There's a lot of these books, and if you really like D&D and you want to learn more, just open up one of the books and read it. There's nothing wrong with spending an hour reading or half hour. You never know. Especially, I'm gonna tell you that the Mordenkainen tome and Tasha's the everything, and of course Xanathar. Let me not forget him because oh my gosh, you know what happens then. Those books are really full of information. And if you want to look for something different to play, those are the books you want to look at. They have a lot of information. They have a lot of things, and there's a variety of things in them that you can learn. And don't forget, Acquisitions Inc. is a really great book if you want to start a business or a guild or something. Like I said, there's a lot of aspects, a lot of avenues in the adventuring world, and you can still go on adventures and have a little shop. Imagine that. That'd be kind of cool, right? And I got to tell you, you want me to remind you, we only have a few. There's only a few of the Spelljammer special editions left. All the regular editions are gone. People didn't realize that there were still some special editions left. They're the same price. It just depends on which set of covers you want. Hey, Antonio, talking about my son. There he is. Antonio, he comes on when he can, when he's not working. Thanks for coming on the show, buddy. Hope you had having a good day. But yeah, so it's neat because you see, even on my show, there's my brother, there's my wife, there's one of my sons, and my friends, Danny, who works here, and John and Jason, who I met through playing Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, I met Jason through the comic book auction, and I met John through playing Dungeons and Dragons. And a lot of the other people that come on here I've met, but it's here at the collective, this environment. It's really neat. And I have a good time. That's why I spend so much time here. And Antonio spends a lot of time here. And he does other things other than Dungeons and Dragons. But, it's just the atmosphere. If it's a good place, build it and they will come. Remember that movie? That's actually a baseball movie. But, hey, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Whether it's at home, whether it's at a game store, whether it's at your local university, clubhouse, whatever it is. Get some people, sit down, have a good time. And this is what I was going to tell you. Sometimes, life is kind of crazy and you don't have a lot of money to go do all these wondrous things, right? If you got Dungeons and Dragons, you can spend a whole weekend playing Dungeons and Dragons and you'll never know it. It'll fly by. And you order pizza and you have enough to order pizza, or maybe go to Walmart and get the pizzas. They're really good, by the way, and have a good time that weekend. That's what Dungeons and Dragons is all about. Having a good time with the people you enjoy being with. All right? So anyway, I think that's enough for today. I think I've answered the question. I kind of went on a tangent, but that's okay. That's what the show's all about. Tangents and talking about things. Oh, and look, I'm going to get this set of dice because I don't have them and they just came in. They're purple, blue, and pink. Really cool. Really cool set of dice. Oh, you can't see them from there. Here, let me bring them up there. I'm not sure if they have anything in them. I don't think these have anything. Let me see what it says. And I'll tell you, I'm going to get these today because, you know me, dice. Oh, they're Yep, they're a resin flag set. But anyway, they're really cool. Anyway, here they are. See, really neat. I like them. I like dice. You think so? Here goes some other ones. These are Grim Reapers. Wow, these are really cool. They're black and white. Oh, that's really neat. Look at these. I mean, there's some really cool dice that have come in. These are all, by the way, by Foam Brain Games. Really cool. The collective does a great job of keeping it stocked. I think that's one of Brendan's pet peeves is when there's not enough dice. When there's not enough dice, if you come down and see how many dice are in this store, you go, oh my gosh, where do they get them? And they always get new ones. There's always new dice coming out, And I think it's so cool that they keep it stocked, whether it's gem dice or metal dice or just resin dice with stuff inside, just plain dice. They have a great collection. So, like I always say, you can never have enough dice, as evidenced by my purchasing more dice, even though, yeah, people say I have too many dice. Nonsense. No such thing. So, all right. As always, may the roll rise up to meet your feet, and may your adventures in life always be successful. This is John from John's Dungeon Corner at the Collective in Altamont Springs, Florida, saying have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I will see you on the other side. Bye now. Well, I can't turn the thing off now. This is what happens sometimes with technology. All right. Well, I'm going. You get to see the bottom of the box until I can turn it off. You like that, huh? There, here we go. Oh.